Welcome, everybody. Thanks for joining me today for a late night stream. I'm your host, Liam Murphy, a three-time best ball champion. Today, we're primarily going to be talking about what's going on with the Steelers and the Bears. Justin Field is a Steeler. Going to talk through that, and then we're going to rip a big board and see where he goes. All right, let's jump right into it. So, last video, I went over almost all of the free agent acquisitions to date, all the changes. Good morning. Not around here. Anyways, the big one to update is Justin Fields was traded. Is this sarcastic? And so Justin Fields is a social construct. Yeah, I mean, last time I was on stream, I talked about it, and my opinion was I didn't see any reason for the Bears to sell low on Fields. You know, with the reasons being if a quarterback injury happens to another team, you can sell him midseason for higher draft capital. Or if something happens to Caleb Williams, you have a high quality backup that you're not giving up for a 7th round, a 6th round pick, whatever. The reality is the Bears said, yeah, right, we're getting what we can now. And so they traded him for a conditional 6th round pick to the Steelers. The Steelers are saying, apparently, that Russell Wilson is still the starter. Russell Wilson's getting paid like $1 million by the Steelers. Of course, that's because he's getting paid a lot of money still by the Broncos. So, why did this happen? What are we thinking about it? From the Bears side, I guess they're just saying, you know what? It's over. We don't, and I've never seen what's happened to this Bears fan base, which I'm assuming it's just a loud minority or there's something in the water up there in Chicago. But the amount of people who were confident Fields wasn't getting traded, who don't want Caleb Williams, it's outrageous, right? Did this happen for Trevor Lawrence to the Jags? Did this happen for Andrew Luck to the Colts? Were they like, no, we got to stay with Minshew? So, I mean, the Bears, I guess they're just figuring, you know what? We want a clean slate. Let's get what we can for now. And more importantly, let's just let this be very clear. This is Caleb's team. I get that. Personally, these are grown men. I understand the locker room dynamics, but I feel you can just keep Fields and get a little bit more. But hey, getting a 5th round pick versus a 6th, I guess, doesn't matter a lot. It is a conditional. So if Fields plays 51% of the snaps, then it becomes a 4th round pick. So from the Steelers side, honestly, I like their moves. They got rid of Kenny Pickett. Was pretty clear he's not the answer. I don't love the Arthur Smith signing, but is what it is. They got Russell for the minimum, and they got Fields for extremely cheap. And so what I think I would do in their situation is you play Russ to start the year, unless Fields clearly wins the team. And ideally, you play Russ for 51% of the snaps. And then if it's close at all and or Russell's not playing well, you bench him for Fields. You only pay the 6th. You got to look at Fields. You got a team that's trying to run the ball, and play defense anyway. So seems pretty good. They're also, their draft capital, they're in a little bit of like pick purgatory where they made the playoffs, so they're not at the top of the draft. I like them gambling for almost nothing onto decent options, So for fantasy, I mean, what do we think is going to happen to Fields' draft costs? I don't know. I'm assuming he's going to be Trey Lancian, 18th round, 20th round. My assumption is he will not be declared the starter to start the year. Now, if he way outplays Russ, he's the younger player. If he takes that step, develops whatever, clicks with the Steelers, and he's clearly the guy, okay, then you play him and all you did is pay a 4th round pick, which is fair for Fields anyways. So that's obviously in the cards, but my assumption is it will be close between the two. They're going to try to do what I said because they're going to really care about this 6th round versus 4th round pick. They're going to give Russ the start. And I think the fantasy market will not buy Fields. They'll just leave him for dead. And if that's the case, it's going to be tough for me not to have a big bag of 18th to 20th round Fields as like a QB2, QB3, and that people are saying people are still taking him early. A, give it time. This happened just now. We know that the market's static. And B, I'm talking about what I think will happen by August, right? As, he might start expensive. As the season goes, off-season goes, and he's not the starter, people will panic and he will fall, period, right? People are not going to draft a backup in round 10, 11, 12, whatever. So Fields, I think, is a great buy as QB 18th round, 20th round guy, depending on the site. If the market reacts how I'm thinking, you get there so many ways. Russ gets benched, Fields outplays him. We know that he, has game-breaking upside at the quarterback position. So I will be taking that gamble if it goes how I said. Is it possible Russell plays really well, holds down the starting position? Of course that's possible. And in that case, whatever. You just lose a little bit of Fields. So I don't see, if you don't want to draft Fields in the big board, that's fine. If you don't want to draft him at all, that's fine. Russell should be cheap too, right? Like he's not a great fantasy quarterback. So, he's whatever. He's like a high floor option. But the stack of Russell and Fields is also interesting to me. Especially if they're cheap, So I like, like if you go Josh Allen, your QB2 being Fields in the late rounds, that seems pretty great. That's also how I won BBM too, an Allen and Fields stack where Fields did not play. The Steelers could also, a quarterback could still get hurt midseason and a team is like, you know what? We're too good. Let's trade for Fields. So the Steelers, I think, could trade Fields still, and he could wind up somewhere else as well. That's an outside option, but possible. Other moves, Chase Young looking like he's going to be a Saint. That's not a huge fantasy move there. And then Alexander Mattison is expected to sign with the Raiders, which just seems like good news for Zamir White and also a win for people like me who like to draft the guys who are really athletic. I've had big bags of Zamir White early every year, especially because he's been, the market has just been terrible and they don't even draft the RB2s of teams. So, all right. And yeah, I mean, if Madison's cheap, whatever. I still expect them to add someone, but let's jump in this big board and see how it goes. Got to join on my phone. We got this filled up. Tomorrow, JJ Zacharyson stopping by, 2 p.m. Eastern, around there. And we're going to talk about the incoming rookie class, get some JJ takes, maybe rip a draft. And if you are not already, please join me on the road to 5K. Click the subscribe button and like the video. You can also become a YouTube member for access to the premium Discord, and the link to join that is in the YouTube description below. All right, let's get to some comments here while we wait for my pick to start. I pulled the 109. What's up? We got one of our members right here, MD. Paul saying the Raiders choosing Minshew over Fields. I think teams that don't want to choose Fields are saying, we've seen enough. He's not developing. We don't want to commit to a guy who can win too many games for us, right? Like, and I think the Raiders, like, they might be going with Aiden O'Connell. You know, like Minshew, I think, is the fallback. But yeah, like not committing to Fields makes sense too. If you're just being like, you know what, he's not it. We need to bottom out and actually get a high draft pick, rather than the Steelers, which they're like, our roster is too good to bottom out. Let's try to win 10 games and get, and have a electric Fields performance and upset a couple good teams in the playoffs, which that's a fine option too. Well, I mean, let's not pretend what one NFL team thinks is gospel. NFL teams can be wrong, Rose saying the Raiders had his old OC. I think them choosing Minshew over Fields is really telling. Yeah, it's really telling. The Raiders don't want Fields, but you have to realize there you have a new coach. And if you were a new coach, would you hitch your wagon to Justin Fields, or would you do a bridge option so that way when you suck this year, ownership doesn't fire you and you're like, look, you got to give me a shot to draft my quarterback. That's what you do as a GM and coach. All right, we're on the clock here. I don't have any Breece Hall yet, and him at the 109 feels pretty good. What's up, Brock? Does it feel like a tier break to you at the 109? No. So, yeah, Zamir White, we're excited. Never miss a chance to get some Najee hate in. No, it doesn't feel like a tier break to me at the 109. I like the because I like the second round and I like the third round and the fourth round. So you gotta bake all that into when you assess a position, not just what two players you end up with. But of course, the consistency of some of these guys is unmatched. Let's see what happens here. Drinking a little funky Buddha here. Let me know what you think of these Monday night streams or late night streams versus I do most of my streams midday, but I'm open to streaming at night. Just let me know in the comments or in the chat here if you're more of a nighttime stream person. Okay. It's kind of crazy seeing Saquon all the way up here. And Josh Allen's ADP just refuses to fall. Let's go with Marvin Harrison. I don't really feel like stacking Garrett with Breece, even though it's fine. I'm still hoping he'll be a Cardinal where I think he could smash. See what Fields ADP is at now. It's not dropping, That could just be due to a low volume of drafts. He might just drop slow compared to peak off season. Underdog added the ability to make your own ranks as well. I don't quite know how to do that yet, but I know it's at least on iOS. So you can check out the Underdog Twitter if you don't know what I'm talking about. I thought in general, I really like the Texan situation. I don't love what they're doing with Joe Mixon. They have a lot of cap space, so I mean they have some that they can waste if it's the best they can do, but I would much rather have a guy like Aaron Jones who, even though Aaron Jones is 1.5 years older than Joe Mixon, he has 400 less career touches. Now, a large portion of that is Jones has not remained as healthy as Mixon. So I feel like the Texans are strongly weighing availability. And we know what their coach wants to do. He comes from this 49er system. He wants to run the football on early downs. Hopefully they open it up a little bit more. But I mean, the overpay on Joe Mixon when Aaron Jones is like $7 million plus a rookie running back, it's probably what I would have done. Jones will share with Chandler? Yeah, of course. I think they'll both get their touches. Mixon could be bell cow status, but I don't know. A lot of wide receivers rolling off the board. There's been the Malik Neighbors Hive was out today on Twitter disrespecting Marvin for him. Okay. I think I'll just go Hurts here. Getting the potential QB1 at the end of the third feels good. Trying to get points where the other teams don't have, you know. I still think if this was a high volume draft time, Josh to Hurts ADP would close pretty quick, but ADPs are slow to update in the offseason. I love seeing the drafters who have a type, right? Like this guy, he's going with the olds. Devontae Adams, Kupp, Amari Cooper. They're good. They're just kind of old, you know? The Bijan guy goes Saquon. That's another type. All right. Yeah, we'll take the Devonta Smith stack. Pretty chalky pairing, Hurts Smith, but I don't have any. Not many of them will have Brees, probably. Old. I mean, hey, man, they are football old. Cooper is what? Okay, he's 30. So that's young. Not super young. Kupp's 31, but he's had injury concerns. And Devontae is 31. I mean, they're not 25 like Devonta Smith. or 21 like Marvin. Chris going out on the ledge here. What do you guys think about this? He says, I don't care how dumb I sound. Breece Hall should not be a top 24 pick, he clarifies. So he's saying that Breece Hall ADP should start in the 3rd round. I'm not going to lie. I had a little sticker shock when he was like the 105, the 104. I think some of that is recency bias with him having a lot of strong games down the stretch. But I think people are also, speaking for myself, I want to be buying high ceiling players who don't have many questions on them, right? Breece Hall, off the injury now. Better offense is the hope with Rodgers playing. Super high ceiling. And he's not, he doesn't have as many questions as the other guys. But we know with running backs, you're trying to buy safety / elite scoring potential. So top, 20 points per game, 25 points per game type seasons. And Breece could get that with the checkdowns. Kyle saying 30 is ancient in NFL years. MD saying he's got more proven pop than Bijan. Yeah, I don't know. Breece elite talent should be ideal situation. Yeah, I agree. I know, I like it. Also, I think if you're a volume drafter, if the guy's ADP has been as high as 103, 104, 105, and he's there at the 109, good to mix that in, get unique. So, not a guy I want to make a stand on. Derrick Henry in the 4th. Interesting. I've faded Henry recent years, but pretty interested if it doesn't climb too high. James Cook goes. Let's see here. Let's get an Andrew share. I really don't like to leave drafts without one of the elite-ish tight end options. Andrews versus Kincaid is interesting to me. Kincaid could go as high as the number 1 target in Buffalo this year. Number 2, very little concerns on him. Andrews, great price to play for the player he is if he's healthy. Andrews injury concern. Yeah, generally buying injury concern, not the worst thing to do in the big board as long as it's not a disaster, the rumor was the guy would play in the Super Bowl. So I don't think I will draft Andrews a lot. We're going to do Kincaid too and be done. I really do. Most of the time I will be taking some of these running backs here. But if Andrews is slow, I got 2. I kind of like going double elite tight end. Just getting ceilings that can't be matched. Andrews had tightrope surgery, to my knowledge, which is that's the Tony Pollard injury. So that's the concern, is that he has a Tony Pollard type zap. He gets leapfrogged by Isaiah Likely, something like that, Dennis saying Nico is mispriced too. He's not even the best receiver on his team. Yeah, when they were both healthy, I did think Tank was a little bit better. I think Houston's not been shy where they want to add another weapon too, which I think is smart. Tank got hurt, so you can never have too many weapons. they were in the market for Keenan Allen. I don't think Nico is mispriced. I want to be buying the young special wideouts attached to CJ Stroud. I understand, though. I mean, like, just last year, he was a 10th round pick. Who did the Eagles add a wide receiver again? Devontae Parker, brother. Come on now. So, yeah, I like Nico. He might not be as target dominant quite as some of these guys, but I think the ceilings are there. I like this build for me. Balanced, unique. Anchor Brees. Devontae Smith off the disappointing year. You know, he's fallen a lot more compared to like a Jalen Waddle. Hurts falling for little reason. Just getting hurt at the end of the season. I think the Kincaid and Andrews pick synergizes well, as long as Andrews is producing. This was a nice price on Trey McBride, too, in my opinion. I'm obviously McBride over Andrews. I'll probably end up Kincaid over Andrews. I'm just used to seeing him go a little bit earlier. Do I triple lead it? Probably not, but these aren't my favorite players remaining. All right. We're just going to take the target volume with Deontay. I still think Adam Thielen could be a little bit of a thorn in the side, but, you know, 5-ish touchdowns. You know, like that's not too much to ask. 5 games you feel good about, plus, you know, 10 catches, 100 yards in some of those. Those are some spike weeks. Does Buffalo draft a wide receiver early? Yes. I think they will. Possibly in round 1 and 2. Does that impact Kincaid? I mean, any team that adds talent and impacts teams by both raising the ceiling of the offense and also adding target competition. But I think it's pretty safe to pencil in Kincaid for a bunch of targets in a healthy year. Okay. Looking like running back is the prudent choice. I'm going to roll the dice on Austin Eckler. I full faded him last year. From the rookie, you know, with the injury concerns, maybe gets a bunch of dump offs, has a little late season magic. I don't think it's all gone. Vomit. Yeah, these are like because like last year I was like, oh, I don't even want to do Alvin Kamara. This is my first year of Eckler, to be clear, but I actually think the landing spot's pretty decent. Connor's fine. There's really no reason to dock him other than a bunch of touches and age, and he's boring. Chubb off the injury does not seem safe. I don't know about that one. I'm in Jalen Warren. I did coin 85% Austin Eckler. He's a safe bet, but I don't know. I think in a good season, Eckler has 100 targets. If it's Jaden Daniels, that's not the best, and they did sign Mariota. If it's May, though, I feel like Eckler will get his. Is Eckler a good pass blocker? You don't play as much as Eckler without being a good pass blocker. Zamir White steadily climbing. Yeah, it just seems like round 8 and 9 by default, even starting a little bit earlier, 6, 7. It's like the teams that won wideout heavy are just like, okay, and now we take a bunch of running backs. So. I'm going to take Troy Franklin. He's getting a little bit of buzz. Not great size, but 4'4", 140, 155, 10-yard. End of round 1 discussion. Cowboys, Chiefs, Bills. Ultimate Rose says, hitting on whichever rookie running back Dallas is targeting will be huge for winning this tournament, I think. That's not really how it works, though, right? Like, that's a little bit too simple of a take. I mean, don't get me wrong. That could be a very valuable landing spot, but just like having Raheem Mostert on your team was valuable, it doesn't just win you the tournament, right? You got to get the players who go off at the end. And sometimes you don't want these guys who have great regular seasons. That is the conundrum of best ball and what makes the strategy interesting. It's not so simple just to take the best guys. But of course, if you knew which running back would fall into a bunch of volume, you would generally buy that. And I mean, it's probably going to be a higher draft pick, a guy like Trey Benson, a guy like Jonathan Brooks. Mike Williams getting some buzz. Landing spots discussed are the Jets. That would be a good one. The Panthers, not so good. And I forget the other team, but it wasn't so good either. All right. They're gonna make me do the commander handcuff. We're doing it. A better version of the Antonio Gibson, Brian Robinson. 45 watching, 4 likes. Come on now, like the video. If you knew about Puka and Kyron, you probably did pretty well. You probably watched my channel, bro. Not on Puka. Didn't get that one. Kyron, though, we're all over that. Yeah, there should be some major movement around these running backs, right? Like I could see Mostert falling a lot in drafts. Just tough to buy this dude in the 8th round, even with that season. I could see Eckler falling a lot. Some of these guys are league winners, though. And you generally feel good about the gambles you're taking at running back. There's a little bit for everyone, right? You can either convince yourself some of the old still got it, some of the guys off injury. You can convince yourself some of the new guys on the block, Zamir White, Chase Brown, the rookies. You can choose a committee. You can say, hey, I'm a Najee guy. I'm a Jalen Warren guy. You could choose the guys in new situations. DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard. How dare you like shame me? Bro, gotta do it. Gotta do it for the channel. Trying to grow here. If you don't like Mostert in the 8th, how do you feel about Achane in the 2nd? I like Achane in the 2nd. And I guess that means I should be fine with Mostert. I'm just not convinced the role Mostert has is still there for him to just fall into. It might, but Miami seems like a team that for sure could add a running back in the draft. If they don't, then yeah, I think Mostert's a fine gamble because both of them have spike week upside. Imagine being a Najee guy. I never have, but thoughts on Atlanta pass catchers with Kirk? In general, I want to be buying all of them. We know what Kirk can do in an offense. We know he can support a lot of guys, so I'm in. Yeah, dude. Mostert is ancient. You don't like Mostert 60 to 40? No, I would not be buying Mostert in these rounds here. That's like James Cook range, Derrick Henry range, which like I understand he had better seasons than some of these guys. Fields just went 190 in your draft. Hey, we're on Field Watch. I would add Fields as my QB too. Not this early, but later in drafts. We need some wideouts. Gabe Davis, Spike Week King. Getting my guys, Gabe Davis and Dalton Kincaid here. Davis could have a great year in Jacksonville. Oh, Pitts won't have a good year because he kept his number. You think he's good on 3 QB builds? Well, I'll let you in a little secret here. The year I won BBM2, I effectively had a 1 QB build. So when you get the right elite quarterback, you don't need any other quarterbacks. $190 seems fair for Fields. Yeah, $190 is end of the 16th. I think he will fall. He will fall 17, 18, 19. Unless he's confirmed the starter, he will fall. Yes, when that QB is Josh Allen, well, I mean, I have Jalen Hurts. That's effectively the same thing in fantasy football. Blake Corum, a lot of buzz for him. Curtis Samuel really shooting up these boards here. I'm going to go with Keon Coleman. He did not have the best combine. A 4.64 40, it was what highlighted like a bit of a negative combine, but focusing on the 10-yard split, that is the one that you care about a lot more and shows that, okay, he might not have the best long speed, but he can, I still think he's a fringe first round, top of the second round, and he's just kind of getting dinged unfairly for that 40, where he probably should be in this like round 9 range. That is assuming he still gets drafted high. If he free falls to like the 5th round, okay, whatever. But we didn't get the Keenan Allen Raz, but the point I was trying to make is I think Keenan Allen didn't test well. And look what that guy done. Impressive thumbnail. Thank you. Graphic design is my passion. Subscribe for more. Kind of think Pitts will moon. Yeah, I'm definitely into him. He's in the mix of all the elite tight ends, though, so you're not getting much of a discount. A-Rich, hey, man, you don't got to talk to me about A-Rich. I love A-Rich. Do you have Shaheed, Olavi, and AT in New Orleans? What do you mean by do I have them? Yes, they are all in New Orleans. AT, I kind of feel like they're going to add someone. Shaheed, I'm always into. Olave's fine. He's just like not the most exciting click for me personally. Oh, those 3 locked in starters? Definitely not. I don't think that's a locked in situation. I mean, what did A.T. Perry do to solidify a locked spot? Not a ton of draft capital. Like the only thing going for him is that the Saints are in a weird cap space, so you could argue that wide receivers are not their most pressing need. But also your quarterback's Derek Carr. So you need to had a great last game. That just proves the recency bias, right? Like some of these guys' ADPs, Brees, Nico, probably is impacted by them having a great fantasy playoffs. We're going with Marshawn Lloyd. Don't know much about him, but I am into him at this current point in time, at least. Team so far, Jalen Hurts, Breece Hall, Austin Eckler, Brian Robinson, Marshawn Lloyd, Marvin Harrison Jr., Devonta Smith, Deontay Johnson, Troy Franklin, Gabe Davis, Keon Coleman, Mark Andrews, and Dalton Kincaid. Derek Carr limits wide receiver upside, it seems. Yeah, I don't know, right? Like he is the pocket passer, right? So you do like that. Like we like Cousins' offense, but he's not the best in the world, so you don't like that. But he's not rushing in touchdowns, so I think it's more that like Kamara can steal some upside if he's healthy the whole year. I think this is a terrible take. Duke says, hot take. Bears finished bottom of NFC North. The Bears' best player has been on the team that earned the first overall pick half the seasons he's played. I don't know what that means, and the Bears suck. So it just seems like you're a fan of the Vikings or some shit like that, which is fine. But I think they are in a tough division, let's be clear. The Packers, good. The Lions, good. Like Packers, Bear, and Lions, borderline elite teams, it seems. However, I think the Bears are in a great situation to do close to what the Houston did, a Houston level jump, if you would, where, hold on, got to get a wide receiver. Let's go Douglas. Boring, but, should get volume. Maybe it's a QB upgrade. But yeah, I think the Bears could do an NFC North impression of what the Texans did this past year, where walking into a great situation, the defense is young and good. And they're playing great football at the end of the year. And they had a ton of cap space, so they're adding guys. They traded for Keenan Allen. They got DJ Moore. They upgraded the O-line. The O-line was like bad. Now it's like average. And I would put them as like one of the favorites to get a guy like Adunze or whatever. Because that just seems like, if I had Caleb Williams, I'm giving the guy weapons. So you got the vet and Keenan, you got your tight ends, you got Swift to dump it off to, you got DJ Moore, and you got the rookie to grow with them. Of course, if they could get Neighbors, someone like that, they go for that, but that's probably the Giants. And Keenan Allen had, Keenan Allen horrifying Raz. Yeah, man. He's not an athletic dude, but elite agility. Coaching staff is probably being a little overrated. I mean, it's the players, guys, that make the difference. Just look at Bill Belichick. It's the players that make the coaches. Woo! I don't, the coach just needs to be not awful. Schefter believes the Bears will select an OT at 9. That's good too, honestly. If they don't feel the grade is there on a wide out, if they don't think Odunze is worth it, a tackle is a big upgrade to the offense as well. Thank you for the bless me. Williams is going to need time in the league and is a huge question mark. The dude's going the 101, so no. Fields goes in the 15th, but it's hard to say when people are like auto drafting versus he just kind of like the price on it. Let's see. I mean, he did do a Miami stack, so it does not, and a Charger stack, so it does not look like he auto drafted. It doesn't mean he didn't fall asleep at the wheel on one pick, at least. Yeah, getting gross out here. You know what? We're going with Malachi Corley. Don't know anything about him, but think he has a cooler name objectively than Jalen Polk. So yeah, those ADPs should be flipped based on that. Pollen in Florida is crazy right now. Yeah. Nine could also be traded because they don't have a ton of other picks. Maybe I could see them trading to the teens if they like the tackle options there, but there's probably only like 20-ish first round grades for most teams this year, so I don't see them making a big jump down the board. Another draft after this? Sorry, Augustus, not tonight, man. But tomorrow at 2 p.m., we will have on JJ Zacharyson to talk about the rookies. and maybe rip a draft if there's time. And I'll be doing more drafts as we heat up towards May. Yeah, I mean, I'm not debating that coaches can't do good and bad things, right? Like Bobby Slowick bringing in that scheme to the Texans, probably a good scheme. We've seen a lot of good teams employ it. At the same time, a lot of people think the Texans coaches did some dumb shit where they way overran the ball and did not let CJ Stroud #cook enough. So jury's out a little bit there just because they had good results, you know? And it's the Texans players that succeeded in the scheme. It's always the players. All right. Looks like quarterback is not great for us, but that's okay. Yeah, I think a share of Rashad Bateman's fine. He is a swing at upside. And the only reason why people don't draft him is because they got burned on them in the past, right? So that's just an emotional reason. So I do have a 1492 cooking. 4 more picks. Might have to just stop at wide receiver and just hope. I wouldn't say the room is super comfortable, but I just need to hope that some of these rookies hit in a big way, especially Troy Coleman. And yeah, I need some weeks from Gabe, Bateman. So I feel like I need a little bit more running back depth. Tight end gonna have to stop. So yeah, I probably go a QB and 3 running backs. I don't know. Unless I feel like Lloyd is hitting. I don't get these people. Caleb Williams is not even the top 3 quarterbacks this class. 1, Penix. 2, Jaden Daniels. 3, JJ McCarthy. My friend, I'm going to have to see your quarterback rankings of the past couple of years. But Caleb Williams has his haters for like reasons that are not related to the ability to play football at all. So it's hard to know who's behind the screen with these crazy takes. I don't think the market will bounce him once Caleb gets selected, but I do think Caleb could throw for more yards than even Stroud did. MD says Bateman he has never achieved at any level as a pro. And then James Bateman says, "Hey yo, chill." James, it's okay, man. I think you could achieve a lot. Not you, James. Needing Bateman has never gone wrong. It's a good price, he cries. Give me Miles Sanders. Like, this hate's hopefully gone too far. Sam Howell is a Seahawk, so that adds a little bit of wrench into Geno. I think Geno's the favorite there, but Going to be a really fun 9-8 Bears team. I mean, A, 9-8 can make the playoffs. And B, they could win more than that, maybe. I need to know what divisions they're playing. All right, so they have a tough division. We know that. Lions, Packers, Vikings, Rams. Rams, pretty good team. Seahawks, average. Jaguars, pretty good team. Titans, exciting. Panthers, not so good. Patriots, not so good. Lions, Packers, Vikings. Cardinals, below average-ish. Niners, that's a good team. Texans, that's a good team. Colts, average. Commanders, probably a worse team. So if they can go 3-3 in their division, not the hardest schedule in the world. Okay. Need a quarterback. The only two left really are Jones and McCarthy. I'm going to go with McCarthy and just hope I just feel like he's got more. He's more likely at the moment, at least it seems. His name's in the buzz as QB4 first round. So seems like he's likely to be a starter. And Jones, we're not so sure on. So I'm going to go with the safety of that at the moment, even though I'm not really sure what his upside is. Brock saying, Liam, are you arguing the Bears will make the playoffs or win division and win a playoff game like Houston did? I think that's an important distinction. I disagree with you for many reasons. One, the Texans division was objectively a bad division last year. The Jaguars disappointed. The Titans weren't good. The Colts lost their quarterback and were not that great. The other, the Bears division is a strong division. The Packers made the playoffs. The Lions almost made the Super Bowl. The Packers found a quarterback, an improving team. So, and also Houston winning a playoff game, that doesn't matter, right? Like playoff games are usually pretty close anyways. And they played the Browns with Joe Flacco. So if the Bears draw the Niners and then lose, does that mean they were worse? No. Come on now. Surely the Bears dynasty makes the playoffs. Hey, Artie. Some of us called it on this channel here. So you can't just make these one-to-one NFL comparisons and just ignore all context. 2 more rounds here, guys. If you like these streams and you last this long, please subscribe to the channel. I'm on the road to 5K and like the video. All interaction helps out. See, again, this is nonsense. They scored 45 points against one of the best defenses statistically. Yeah, when the quarterback is throwing interceptions like Joe Flacco did, that tends to happen. I would not say the Bears are the favorite to win the division, right? I would like the Lions' chances better. I like the Packers' chances better. So I probably would put them as the third team in their division. But just because their division has 2 good teams doesn't mean they're a bad team. It's not how it works. Okay. Will Shipley, sure. Welcome to the team. You're annoyed at the ban of pick'ems in Florida? I'm just thankful that I can still draft in Florida. Pure Water here has got an interesting build. A 3-3-11-1. Kyron, Josh Jacobs, and ETN. So, I mean, high-end talent, but questionable depth. CJ Stroud, Gino, and Russ. Not our favorite quarterback room. Nico Collins, JSN is wide receiver 2. Doesn't feel great. And then a bunch of guys. And then Ingram and Sanders. So, I mean, I'm a fan of uniqueness, but seems thin at wideout, seems thin at tight end. Obviously, you have thin depth at running back. And quarterback seems a little thin too. My team, feel good at tight end. You know, Andrews, of course, could be a 0. Wide receiver is definitely a bit of a question mark. Like, if enough of these guys hit, it's fine. A couple of these guys could be bust, though, right? We got a Panthers wideout. Smith is pretty inconsistent. Franklin and Coleman are unknowns at the current point. Gabe Davis could get pushed a little bit by like Zay Jones, which would not be great. Douglas, not guaranteed to have a starting job. I don't know anything about Malachi Corley and, Rashad Bateman. Enough is said there. And running back, definitely have some questions there as well. I think this pick is clearly going to be a running back or a wideout. Let's go Evan Hull. I like the upside of Hull. Could be a 0, of course. So that is the draft for tonight. Justin Fields answering the stream did go at the start of the 15th round after quarterbacks Drake May, Matthew Stafford, Will Levis, Derek Carr, but before Bryce Young, Geno Smith, Russell Wilson, J.J. McCarthy, Daniel Jones. And that seems honestly rightish, the order at least, right? You're taking the upside of Fields for guys who have questions of their own in startability / upside. And then the market is trying to weight the safety of some not so exciting guys above Fields, which, we don't want to take safety, but the market does that. So that is my stream for tonight. Please like and subscribe the video. Oh, Flodgen got Madison. Yay, that's a pretty good last pick there. Peace out, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching.